Welcome to part 1 of Shadowed Sirens 10 Tales of Deadly Beauty and Madness. In this video, we present the first 5 stories, where seemingly ordinary women spiral into madness and wreak havoc. From the woman in black gloves to the screaming bride, step into a world where beauty and insanity collide. Prepare yourself for a spine-chilling journey into darkness. Wealthy investors were mysteriously disappearing one after another. In each of their luxurious homes, there was no sign of strugglingly a single pair of black gloves left behind. As the investigation progressed, detectives discovered a common link. Each missing man had recently encountered an enigmatic woman. She frequented upscale restaurants and high-profile parties, charming them with her beauty and intelligence, gradually winning their trust. In reality, she was a devoted member of an ancient cult that believed in gaining power. By sacrificing wealthy men as offerings, she would send them the black gloves beforehand, convincing them with seductive promises of a new life. Then, on the night of the ritual, she would invite them to her home, where she would perform the final act of the ritual, taking their lives while they were in a defenseless state. The disappearances remained unsolved, the black gloves serving as her signature to the authorities. Yet no one could uncover the truth behind her dark and deadly game. In a dense forest, men who ventured too far were disappearing without a trace. Those who lost their way found themselves enveloped in an eerie silence, only to look up and see countless crows looming above them, watching intently. When they tried to escape, the crows swooped down, their sharp claws immobilizing them. Once the men were weakened and unable to move, a woman, dressed in dark clothing, emerged from the shadow. With a cold gaze, she approached the barely conscious men and delivered the final blow. She lived in the forest, driven by a belief that intruders should become part of nature. Days later, police began a search, and among the trees, they found mutilated bodies covered in crow claw marks. The true identity of the crow woman of the forest remained unknown. Her story passed down as a haunting legend of the forest. Myra, a woman of both beauty and eerie charm, worked at the town's art museum. At night, she would venture into the city, seeking out men who seemed to appreciate her passion for sculpture. Using her allure, she lured them into secluded places where her dark art would begin. Myra would take plaster in hand and slowly encase the men, rendering them immobile as the plaster hardened around their bodies. Though they struggled in terror, the plaster crept over their entire form, transforming them into sculptures while still alive. Finally, she would coat their faces, sealing them as her beautiful but macabre creations. By dawn, while the town was still asleep, she would carefully display each new sculpture in the museum's backyard, Townspeople admired these mysterious art pieces, unaware of their true nature. Myra's night sculptures brought an unsettling beauty to the town, as her twisted creations continued night after night. A string of disappearances involving engaged men was causing a stir in town. All of the men were happily preparing for their upcoming weddings, when they suddenly vanished without a trace. As the police investigated, they uncovered a chilling pattern. Each missing man had encountered a mysterious bride shortly before disappearing. She appeared in a beautiful wedding dress, captivating them and drawing them in as if they were her groom. Lured into a dark, secluded place, the men found themselves at the moment of exchanging vows with her. But in that very instant, the woman's expression turned cold, and she raised an axe, striking them down with a single blow. Their bodies were left with a bouquet, as if they were part of her twisted wedding ceremony. The town soon began to whisper of the screaming bride, and men with upcoming weddings grew fearful. No one knew her true identity, yet her wedding ritual continued night after night, as she awaited her next groom. Alice, an art teacher at a prestigious school, was admired by many of her students for her beauty and talent. But at night, she revealed a far darker side, obsessed with capturing the truest red. For her ultimate masterpiece, she turned to a sinister method, luring male students to her studio under the guise of modeling, only to use their blood as paint for her red paintings. With alluring words, she invited them into her studio, promising to make them the subjects of her work. Once inside, she began to draw their blood slowly, using it to create vivid, unsettling shades of red on her canvas. As the students weakened, their lives became part of her twisted art, sacrificed for the sake of her masterpiece. By morning, a beautifully haunting red painting would be complete, and Alice would smile in satisfaction as her students disappeared one by one. Her collection of red paintings continued to grow, with no one suspecting the chilling truth behind her work. Thank you for watching Part 1. From the woman in black gloves to the screaming bride, we hope you enjoyed these haunting tales of beauty and madness. But the journey doesn't end here. Part 2 awaits, with 5 more shocking stories, from the painter of red to the altar of flames. Don't miss it, and we'll see you in the next chapter.